of theCUBE. Let's talk to Cyrus Mewawalla, who is the Managing Director at CM Research and joins us, and a familiar face. Cyrus, great to see you.
Great to see you.
I mean, they are every time we talk about this company, stonking numbers, and there was some concern, and probably still is maybe, that Apple relies too heavily. It makes most of its money from those sales of the iPhones. It relies too heavily on that. But that said, it's still selling more of them.
That's right. It had phenomenal results. In every product category, revenues rose. And in every geographical region from the US to Japan to Europe, it rose apart from China, where revenues fell 10%.
And we'll talk about China in a minute. But, and you say across the board, and I want to talk about services, but also the iPad. People thought the old pad was on its way out. It's up.
It's up. And the iPad, of course, is part of the iOS system of devices, which includes the iPhone. So sometimes I think you're going to see the iPad go up or the iPhone go up, but it's all part of the same operating system.
Okay. Let's mention the services, because this is important. Yeah. Some experts out there say this was the shining light. This is the services like Apple Pay, correct? The App Store, music. That's doing really well.
That's doing really well, and for investors that's very important, because Apple is essentially a hardware company. It sells hardware, and generally when a hardware company has a bad product, the stock can be quite volatile. Now, it doesn't have a bad product, but the bigger the percentage of services of that company, the more stable the share price will be.
Okay. What's going wrong in China for Apple? Is it just it's a too expensive a product for that market? Or
management dismissed concerns with China over what's happening in Hong Kong and foreign exchange issues, but I think it's a bigger issue. The Chinese government is becoming more protective against protecting its own internet companies, Alibaba, Tencent, and Baidu. There are geopolitical issues. There is the whole, Apple had this issue with the App Store where the Chinese government said you have to take away VPNs so that Chinese...
We talked about that, yep.
Chinese consumers can only listen to what the government wants them to listen to. But the big threat really is Tencent. So Tencent is a big Chinese company. It's got an app called WeChat, which is a social media app, a bit like Facebook. And on WeChat, it's an app, it's a model that's an app within an app. So they've got hundreds of thousands of apps within WeChat, and therefore customers in China have less need to go to the App Store. Okay,
so not all roses, but looking pretty good, and set, as we said, to become the first $1 trillion company in the world.
Correct.
I mean, that is astonishing. Sorry, short and sweet, but we appreciate your time.